It's time for the news.
President Abdelmadjid Tebboune has presided over the official inauguration of Jami' al-Jazair, or the Algiers Grand Mosque here in Algiers. And the special envoy of the head of state, the Energy and Mines Minister Mohammed Arkab, was today received in Baghdad by Iraq's President Abdulatif Jamal Rashid, to whom he handed in a letter from the head of state. And as the European Union denounced the Israeli authorities' plan to build more Jewish settlers or settlements in the West Bank, new airstrikes have been carried out by the Israeli occupation against various parts of the territory. And those were the major developments. Now the full news edition. Good afternoon. President of the Republic Abdelmadjid Tebboune has congratulated the champion Kylian Amur for winning the gymnastics gold medal in Germany. The President of the Republic wrote on the platform X on the new performance of the gifted Amur at the Gymnastics World Cup held in Germany that the gold medal was well deserved. He added that the state will continue to support and assist her in her brilliant career. Kylian Amur won the gold medal at the Uneven Bars Championship at the World Cup of Cottbus. Let's note that she is the first African woman to win a World Championships medal in gymnastics. President of the Republic has presided over the official inauguration of Jami' al-Jazair, or the Algiers Grand Mosque here in Algiers. The President was welcomed at the entrance to the mosque by the Dean of Jami' al-Jazair, Sheikh Mohammed Mamoun al-Qasimi al-Husseini, also the Minister of Religious Affairs and Waqf, Mr. Yusuf Belmehdi, and the Housing Minister, Mr. Mohammed Tariq Belaribi. The President of the Republic has paid tribute to all workers in all sectors, calling for the contribution in the reform process for the building of the new Algeria and the positive contribution to the completion of the projects launched with the aim of diversifying national economy, boosting development, and achieving social well-being of citizens. Mariam Barshi tells us more.
The statement was read on his behalf by Prime Minister Nadir Harbawi on the occasion of the celebration of the double anniversary of the creation of the Algerian Workers' Union, UGTA, and the nationalization of hydrocarbons. The President also paid tribute to the workers in the energy and mines sector, hailing the constant efforts made by the Sonatrach and Sonelgaz groups in carrying out their vital missions to preserve their high-performing level in the light of the unstable energy changes besetting the world. The Algerian Premier said the 7th summit of the heads of state and government of the Gas Exporting Countries Forum will pave the way for dialogue on the status of gas in the energy transition.
This strategic direction sheds light on the importance of gas in positively contributing to the energy transition, given that it is considered the best fuel that meets the increase in energy demand and decreases pollution and the gas emissions that cause global warming, in addition to its availability, low price, and its being the least polluting fuel. In this line, we confidently look forward to the holding of the 7th edition of the Gas Summit meeting in Algiers to deepen dialogue on the position of gas in the energy transition and ways and means of strengthening cooperation and partnership to develop the adequate exploitation of this resource.
The Algerian Premier said Algeria will continue its efforts to increase its hydrocarbon production capacities.
Algeria will continue its efforts to increase its hydrocarbon production capacities through an ambitious investment plan that will increase primary production of hydrocarbons in Algeria with 2% annually within the period extending from 2023 and 2027 to reach approximately 209 million tons of oil equivalent by 2027. We will continue investments to discover new fields and improve the production of the existing fields, in addition to intensifying efforts to accelerate the pace of the implementation of the hydrocarbon valorization program, which aims to give a new impetus to the field of petrochemicals.
Meanwhile, Mr. Arbawi said Algeria has been committed to implementing the goals of sustainable development by making a new energy strategy aimed at achieving economic development.
ونتطلع بكل ثقة
We are confidently looking forward to strengthening the dynamic aimed at examining the mines law in the upcoming period to keep up with the updates besetting this field and to make it more attractive to investors with the preservation of national interests. Ladies and gentlemen, Algeria has been committed to meet the challenges of sustainable development by making an energy new strategy based on a vision aimed at achieving economic development in the short and long terms and which goes hand in hand with implementing a successful energy transition by launching new projects in terms of renewable energies and boosting electricity production by relying on solar energy, including hydrogen, in addition to the efforts made to preserve natural environment, protect the biodiversity and preserve natural resources for a sustainable future.
Let's recall that the statement was made by the Prime Minister Nadir Arbawi on behalf of President Abdelmajid Tebboune in Timimoun on the occasion of the celebration of the double anniversary of the creation of the Algerian Workers' Union and the nationalization of hydrocarbons in the province of Timimoun.
And earlier, the President of the Republic has affirmed that Algeria, which is celebrating the double anniversary of the creation of the Algerian Workers' Union and the nationalization of hydrocarbons, is going through deep changes. Miriam Barshigan.
In a message read on his behalf by the Prime Minister Nadir Arbawi on the occasion of the festivities marking the double anniversary, President Tebboune stressed that the changes followed global reforms undertaken by the country. On the occasion, he expressed his gratitude to all the workers and recalled that the creation of the Algerian Workers' Union constituted a crucial phase of the Algerian people's struggle to recover its independence. In this respect, the head of state urged all the life forces to adhere to the reform process undertaken to build a new Algeria and stressed the necessity to safeguard the forces' unity to face up to the challenges the world is confronted to. He recalled that 141 drills were created in fulfillment of the 21 commitments taken by the head of state.
And the special envoy of the head of state, Abdelmajid Tebboune, the Energy and Mines Minister Mohammed Arkab, was today received in Baghdad by Iraq's President Abdulatif Jamar Rashid, to whom he handed in a letter from the head of state. A communique released by the Energy Ministry stressed during the meeting that the two sides reiterated the importance of reinforcing the relations between the two countries and extending their bilateral cooperation to include all fields of common interest. This, the communique said, could be achieved adequately with the considerable potentials existing in the two countries, notably in the energy field. During the meeting, the two sides examined the main measures taken by Algeria and the preparations underway for the holding of the 7th Summit of Heads of State and Government of Gas Exporting Countries Forum. Mr. Arkab expressed the aspiration of the President of the Republic to the usual qualitative participation of the Republic of Iraq to this summit. Meanwhile, the two parties also stressed the importance of consultations to coordinate positions within OPEC Plus and Gas Summit. During the meeting, the President of the Republic of Iraq confirmed Iraq's participation at the summit to strengthen dialogue between gas-producing and consuming countries for reliable and affordable energy supply throughout the world. Mr. Arkab also met with Iraq's Deputy Prime Minister for Energy Affairs and Minister of Oil, Mr. Hayyan Abdelghani, with whom he examined bilateral cooperation in the field of energy, investment opportunities, and the exchange of experiences. The Iraqi oil minister expressed his country's wish to benefit from the Algerian experience in several areas linked to energy, particularly through the possibility of the presence of Sonatrach's investment in the hydrocarbon sector in Iraq. And the Speaker of the People's National Assembly, Ibrahim Boughali, met the Speaker of the Namibian National Assembly, Peter Kadjavivi, in Windhoek as part of his participation charged by the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, to the funeral of the late Namibian President. Mr. Boughali extended his condolences in the name of Algeria following the death of the President of Namibia, affirming that the late President was a national and continental symbol, recalling the historical historical relations between the two countries, which date back before Namibia's independence. In a similar context, the head of the assembly called for the imperative to deepen the cooperation between the two countries, notably in the economic field, to reach the level of privileged political relations, highlighting the capacities, wealth and incentives contained in the new laws adopted by Algeria, creating an attractive investment climate. On the parliamentary aspect, Mr. Boghali stressed on the importance to create a field of consultation and communication to exchange views between the two countries' parliaments with the aim of strengthening relations between the two legislative institutions. For his part, the Speaker of Namibia's National Assembly thanked President of the Republic Abdelmadjid Tebboune for his attachment and for his participation at the funeral. You're still listening to Radio Algeria International, 14 hours 42 minutes Algiers time, and to the Middle East now, as the EU denounced the Israeli authorities' plan to build more Jewish settlers in the West Bank. New airstrikes have been carried out by the Israeli army against various parts of the territory. Palestinian sources said at least 86 people were killed for the past 24 hours in the Israeli bombardments. The large-scale operation launched by the Israeli occupation on Gaza over 4 months ago has claimed over 29,600 lives and displaced hundreds of thousands of Palestinians. According to the UN, most of the inhabitants of Gaza, representing about 2.2 million people, are on the brink of famine. In this respect, UNRWA affirmed that the humanitarian situation continued to worsen in Gaza as the food supplies are low, notably in the southern town of Rafah, where at least 1.4 displaced are massed. The funneling of humanitarian aid is hampered by the ongoing fighting. You're still listening to Radio Algeria International, and the EU High Representative for the Foreign Affairs, Josep Borrell, rejected as provocative and dangerous Israeli plan providing for the construction of illegal settlements in the West Bank. In a message he posted on X, the EU representative recorded that the Jewish settlements contribute to increasing insecurity and fueling tension in the region and undermining all peace efforts. In this connection, the Palestinian Foreign Ministry denounced the violence and acts of aggression regularly carried out by Jewish settlers against the Palestinian population. Let's recall that incursions were today carried out by Jewish settlers into Al-Aqsa Mosque Esplanade in occupied Jerusalem amid reinforced security. To Western Sahara now, the General Confederation of Portuguese Workers, the National Interunionist, has adopted a recommendation on the Sahrawi question in which it urges the UN to organize a self-determination referendum in Western Sahara. Despite its call for the organization of a self-determination referendum in Western Sahara, the Portuguese Interunionist called for the international community on the occasion of the 15th Congress to put pressure on Morocco to comply with human rights in the occupied territories of Western Sahara. The Confederation also called on the international community to look at the interdiction or preventing Moroccan occupier of delegations of human rights, NGOs and observers to access the occupied territories in order to find out about the human rights situation. The closing activities were held in the presence of the Supervisor in International Relations and the cooperation of the General Union of Workers from Sarya al-Hamra and Wad Dahab al-Mami and the representative of the Polisario Front to Portugal. You're still listening to Radio Algeria International, 14 hours 45 minutes Algiers time. And Algeria is due to hold the 7th Summit of Heads of State and Government of the Gas Exporting Countries Forum later this week from the 29th of February to the 2nd of March, which is poised to maintain a significant role in the field of global energy. More details in this program by Mariam Barshi.
During a conference held at the National Institute of Global and Strategic Studies on Gas Issues under the motto Energy Security, a means to achieve strategic objectives, The participants indicated that Algeria has a great expertise and pioneering experience in building consensus among states. They said Algeria is capable of taking up this challenge, given that it has an extensive experience in dialogue and rapprochement of views. The director of the National Institute of Global and Strategic Studies on Gas Issues, Abdelaziz Mujahid, affirmed that Algeria has always advocated the unification of efforts for the benefit of all parties. For his part, the expert in strategic studies, Lara Shukrouch, said that the Algiers summit is a continuation of previous efforts, notably those made by Algeria, to make of consultations a means of preserving the interests of gas-exporting countries.
The
interests of the countries constitute in 3 points. The first one is to export these big quantities of gas properly and sustainably, without hampering the interest of anyone. The additional demand is around 150 and it will reach 250 billion cubic meters. So there should be an agreement on sharing exported production. The second condition is to have stable and sustainable prices. Eventually, the best solution is to have a gas OPEC, but if there is no gas OPEC, we will have to go through a mediator or a platform of strategic convergence.
The Jordanian expert, Mr. Salama, for his part, said that the Algiers summit will be a huge success as it aims at preserving the interest of gas-producing and exporting countries.
I bet that the gas summit will be a huge success. And before that, we will witness the success of the forum that Algeria will host by the end of the month. I am sure that it will be successful because its aims consist in the preservation of the interests of the gas exporting countries and those of the consuming countries in the world against the conspiracies aiming to keep the prices of gas low.
The energy expert and member of the Council of the Nation, Shamsuddin Chitour, for his part, said in a statement to the press that the main challenges of the next Algiers summit consist of increasing the gas prices, given the recent fall in price, adding that it is high time for the forum to intervene to give a realistic and reasonable price to satisfy both producers and the consumers.
14 hours, 48 minutes. Algeria's time. You're still listening to Radio Algeria International, and time now for the headlines. President Abdelmajid Tebboune has presided over the official inauguration of Jami Al Jazair, or the Algiers Grand Mosque, here in Algiers. And regarding energy, Mr. Arkabour, on behalf of the President of the Republic, the Prime Minister has paid tribute to all workers in all sectors, calling for the contribution in the reform process for the building of the new Algeria. He also said that the gas summit will pave the way for dialogue on the status of gas in the energy transition. And as the European Union denounced the Israeli authorities' plan to build more Jewish settlements in the West Bank, new airstrikes have been carried out by the Israeli occupation against various parts of the territory. And that's it, dear listeners, for our news bulletin. 14 hours, 50 minutes. Algeria's time. You're still listening to Radio Algeria International, and I invite you now to listen to a program dedicated to the Algiers Grand Mosque. The program is compiled and presented by Jamal Salmani.
Welcome to your weekly program, Destination Algeria. I'm Jamal Salmani. There are a number of great destinations in Algeria just waiting to be discovered, a curious mixture of cultures and influences. Algeria has something interesting to see in just about every city. The country is also the first largest on the African continent, so you can be sure that there are plenty of towns and cities to visit. Let's visit Algeria's fascinating destinations, you and I together. Today is a special program where we are going to visit the Grand Mosque of Algiers. At present, the world's third largest mosque is erected in the Bay of Algiers. The mosque brings together various cultural and religious facilities. All main buildings in the mosque complex share a plinth that is in places up to 5 meters high. On this raised plateau, they are aligned from west to east in the direction of Mecca. Within the complex, they form two groups. In the west, the place for contemplation, with entrance arcades, cultural center, and minaret, and in the east, the place for congregation for up to 35,000 faithful. A spacious park leads from the mosque complex to the buildings in the south, namely the cultural center, the library, and the Imam School. The 265-meter height of the minaret and the length of the entire complex create a strong presence in the urban context over a wide area. Located only 6 kilometers east of the historical town center and not far from the airport, the mosque, hosting up to 120,000 visitors a day, will encourage the future development of the adjacent district of the city. The mosque complex is linked to the buildings in the south, namely the cultural center, the library, and the Imam School, by a spacious park. This landscaped outdoor area can house a large number of people and also offers a haven of tranquility. Through their alignment and height, the mosque ancillary buildings reference the adjoining residential buildings to the south. In the way they are configured, they serve as a buffer zone between the city and the mosque park. The prayer hall, or salle de prière, is a massive cube towering up to 45 meters and able to take up to 35,000 people. The interior, with its choice materials, restrained ornamentation, and indirect natural light, creates an impressive spatial experience. All the traditional religious elements, such as the Qibla wall, the mihrab, minbar, and Dikka, are integrated into a whole of modern aesthetics. Daylight from above steeps the whole in continually changing patterns of light and shadow. The interplay of light and shadow is creating a space with a sacred, if not mystical, character. The minaret rises up to some 265 meters and is thus on the same scale as major skyscrapers. It is the highest building in Africa. The lower stories open out invitingly to the plaza and transport visitors by means panoramic elevators into those upper stories open to the public, in which the Museum of Islamic History is housed. Above it, there are two research areas open to academics only. The multi-layered facade is made up of an outer ornamental skin made of prefabricated perforated facade elements that protect the glass skin behind from direct solar radiation. The 4 access routes at the tower's corners are clad in bright natural stone. The top of the minaret will be transparent. The glass will cover the viewing platforms, one for visitors, the other for VIP guests. They offer a unique view over the city and the sea. The flora columns, the leitmotif for the design throughout the edifice, are flora pillars with protruding capitals in all areas of the ensemble. The flora columns not only blend harmoniously with the local palm vegetation, but combine load-bearing properties with other technical functions. They provide a surface acoustic equipment, while also integrating ventilation and drainage. The building complex forms a successful combination of Algerian tradition and the present. The mosque brings together the cultural wealth of Islam in Algeria with German excellence in architecture and engineering. Construction site work began at the building site for the large new mosque building in March 2012. To protect the approximately 150 by 150 meter large prayer hall from earthquakes, its supports are positioned only seismic isolators. To ensure the stability of the extremely slim and 265 meter high minaret, the base of the shaft is sunk approximately 15 meters into the ground. Structural devices of this magnitude as earthquake protection are unique.
The 7th summit meeting of the heads of state and government of the gas exporting countries, Algeria 2024. The Algerian radio is ensuring round-the-clock coverage of the Algeria summit.